So Robbie Cornelius is a individual that used the power of his mind to change his life for the better. I started off at the age of 7. I had a near-death experience. I was hit in the face by a truck while I was riding in the back seat of my mother's vehicle, and that altered my reality completely. And although the physical scars ended up healing over time, the mental and emotional scars that would come later after realizing I lived in a very violent household. My father was an alcoholic. He gambled a lot, and we were so broke and poor that every single year we had to go to a different school system. And so I had a lot of self-esteem issues. So dealing with coming from a broken home plus having the physical scars of that accident caused me to be very self-conscious. And so I judged myself a lot. I always worried about what other people thought of me. And for the most part, I lived in fear. Lived in fear of my father, lived in fear of the world. And so I lived like that up until the age of 27. My father passed away when I was 16 years old, and that rocked my world because he died on his birthday, and most importantly, he died when we were on bad terms. We were not speaking, we were angry at each other, and I used that as an excuse to get involved in street life and gangs, and I used that as an excuse to be angry at the world. And then over time, that anger turned into pure depression. I became numb on the inside. I didn't know if I was gonna live or die, and I didn't care, to be honest with you. And so at the age of 27, I stopped and realized that everything was going bad for me. Nothing was working out. And I came to a crossroad in my life, and I felt like either I was gonna leave the planet or I was gonna change my life. And so as I'm contemplating how I'm gonna go through with it, this voice started speaking to me. And this voice basically told me that I'd been playing the role of a victim my whole life, and that I was using everyone as an excuse as to why things were not working out for me. And so I had to admit that this voice was right, because it started when I was 7 years old. I used that as an excuse to say, oh, this is why I'm failing school. Speaking of failing school, I dropped out of school when I was 16 or 17 years old. I thought I was in the ninth grade, but realized I was in the 10th grade. So all of these things I used as an excuse to fail in school and to also fail in life. I blame my father for everything. Although those reasons were valid, they were not sufficient for an individual that wanted to experience success. And so at the age of 27, I was encouraged through my own intuition, through a higher power, if you will, or through my higher self. I was encouraged to stop blaming everybody else for my shortcomings. And in that moment, I stepped inside the driver's seat of my own life, and I started living as if I was the creator of my personal reality. That meant I had to control my thoughts, I had to control my emotions, I had to control my actions. That's when everything started to change for me. And at the age of 27, from 27 to 28, I experienced 365 days of uninterrupted happiness. And that didn't mean that bad things didn't happen to me. It just meant that regardless of what showed up, I just decided to stay positive regardless. I started being grateful for everything. At the end of 365 days, I was a completely different person. My life started to blossom. And so that's how I mastered my mind. There was a problem. I was happy, but I was broke. So then I turned my attention to the internet. That's how I started making money online. And I did everything from being a secret shopper to filling out surveys to buying products from garage sales and selling them on Amazon and eBay, to then building a website for a friend of mine that helped me out many years ago. And that started my journey as a web developer. I started building websites, and then I started hiring people to build those websites. So I built my first company, Southern Web. I built that up to 6 figures very quickly, 7 figures. And then I turned my attention to my second company, which is Overstock Domain. And in a matter of weeks, we became a top 25 GoDaddy reseller, specifically using TikTok. Okay. And then after the success of my first and second company, the pandemic hit. So many people were worried about where their money was going to come from. And so that's when I started Web Asset Group. And that's when I created the Mastermind Society, where I'm showing people how to master their minds and make money online. We're tying it all into one. And so I'm very passionate about it because I'm living a agreement that I made with life when I renegotiated my contract with life. I made a promise to life that if my life changed for the better, I would live every single day trying to encourage other people to do the same. And so that's why I started the Mastermind Society. And that's why I want so many people to go to my profile. I want you to join. I want you to register and become a part of an elite group of individuals that are all looking to improve the quality of their life experience. So that's who Robbie Cornelius is. A happy, super successful, super healthy, super vibrant, wealthy motherfucker. That's Robbie Cornelius. That's why you should follow me. That's why you should join the Mastermind Society at Web Asset Group.